All right, folks, welcome to our session today, Beyond Employability, a guide to enhancing the professional experience. My name is Jesse Singleton. I am the Assistant Director for Student Support with the Graduate School. I'm going to get this kicked off started really quickly, just letting us know we're starting the session. We do have some more folks that are hopefully attending, and so they might filter in both in person or via Zoom. But in the interest of respecting y'all's time, we'll go ahead and get started. We also do have the Graduate Student Assembly meeting right after this, and so if you would like to, we'd love for you to stay and attend the GSA meeting as well. But thank you for being here today. We have representatives from the Graduate School, the Office of International Programs, Student Wellbeing Initiative, as well as the Career Center presenting today. So I'm going to go ahead and let our colleagues from OIP come and introduce themselves and kick off the presentation. And so I'm going to transition over to them.
Thank you, guys. So my name is Caroline Soto. I am the Assistant Director for the Office of International Programs. And then Ana Lerma, she's one of our new student advisors there, our international student advisors. So the first topic, and so we're wanting to share, oh, let me see, it's not going on. Oh, there we go. Okay, so employment options. So as an international student, you not only have the benefit of coming to the US and being able to study here, but there are some employment options while you're still a student and then after being a student. So the curricular practical training, short for CPT, it is a benefit of your F1 student status. While you're still a student, you're able to work either part-time or full-time dependent on whether you have an on-campus job or not. So if you have an on-campus job, we would only be able to authorize part-time CPT. Now, for CPT, the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, says that it is an alternative work study, internship, cooperative education, or any other type of required internship or practicum. So CPT doesn't only cover like the internships, practicum, anything that is related or anything that you're looking to do outside of the university or outside of campus to work. If it has to, one, be related to your major area of study, and two, it would need to be either that part-time or full-time, depending on whether you have an on-campus job or not. Now, in some cases, even if it's an unpaid position, it would still need to be authorized under CPT. Okay, so for example, if you're going to be going and working, let's say I'm a mechanical engineer student and I'm going to be working even remotely or off campus doing an internship that is not paid, or I'm going to go volunteer for an extended period of time with the company, it still has to come through our office and we would need to authorize it under CPT. Rule of thumb is if it's going to be on your resume, if it's something that you can put on your resume, then more than likely it has to have CPT authorization from our office. So one thing I mentioned, it could be part-time or full-time. The caveat here is if you accumulate if you accumulate 12 months of full-time CPT, then you will be ineligible for OPT, which is optional practical training, after you graduate. So if you accumulate the 12 months of full-time, then you will become ineligible for OPT when you graduate. If you do part-time, then it has no effect on your OPT at the time that you graduate. Now, the opportunity must be required or recommended. So when you apply for CPT, it does have to go all through Synapses, our online portal, which many of you are familiarized with, or you should be familiarized with it. And through there, not only are we going to be taking a look at it, but also your academic advisor. So it's very important to be in communication with that academic advisor to let them know that they are going to receive an automatic email as soon as you submit the application, where they have to indicate that it is related to your major area of study. From there, we'll proceed in seeing whether it qualifies for CPT based on the offer letter that you submit, and also the indication of your advisor. So one of the things is that in order to apply for CPT, you already have to have a job offer in place. Okay, So this is the authorization while you're still a student. Now, once you're in about your second to last semester or last semester, you can attend one of our OPT workshops, okay? So this is kind of like the outline, the steps that it'll take. Now, the first step, of course, you have the desire to work, right? Now, optional practical training is also a work authorization. Students can work up to 1 year after graduation. If you're on a STEM degree, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you may be eligible for a 2-year extension from that work authorization. So the first step is to attend our OPT workshop. We do have several different workshops at the start of the semester and then as it moves along, because there's a specific time period as to when you can apply for OPT. Now, once you attend the OPT workshop or you decide, yes, I want to apply for work authorization, then you also need to plan for graduation. One of the things is that you need to see with your academic advisor, how is it that you can apply for graduation. Once that graduation is cleared, it's recorded in the UTEP banner system. And so we take a look at that in order to confirm that you are set to graduate for that specific term. Okay. Now, for Synapses applications, that's the second step. In Synapses, again, you're going to submit that application. For the optional practical training authorization, you can apply up to 90 days before graduation and up to 60 days after graduation. Those of you who have traveling plans right after graduation, it's very important that you have to apply to OPT before graduation in that case, or before you leave the United States. Because if you leave the United States after graduation and you have not e-filed with immigration, then you forfeit that benefit. And then at the moment you exit, you lose your F1 status. So once you decide, yes, I'm going to apply, I'm going to get cleared for graduation, you submit your application through Synapses. We take a look and see that you're eligible. We confirm that you have not accumulated those 12 months of full-time CPT, and then we provide you with a recommendation. This is a little bit different than CPT. CPT, we provide the authorization. OPT, we give you a recommendation, and you still have to e-file with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. The other difference is that you do not need to have a job offer in order to apply for this. Okay. Once we give you the recommendation, you'll receive an automatic or an email from our office letting you know of what documents you need to have electronically. And what we'll ask is that you set up an appointment with one of our advisors. So right now, Anastasia is doing all the OPT e-filings. So we won't just send you off and let you e-file alone. You're going to have to come into our office with those electronic documents ready to go, and then we will e-file and guide you through that process. The next step is the waiting period. And that waiting period can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months for U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services to adjudicate that application. And of course, you would get a lot more details within our workshops. Okay, so if you even just Google UTEP OPT, that first link that comes up in Google, it'll come up with those workshops in our website that has a lot of thorough information on it. So sometimes we've seen recently that the application might be adjudicated within a month or so, but it's not a guarantee. So that's why the typical time frame is 3 to 5 months. Once you receive the approval, you will receive a notification from USCIS with the approval notice, and then you're gonna get a EAD card or an employment authorization document. Kind of looks like a license, a driver's license, or a Texas ID, and it has that information on there indicating the student is allowed or authorized to work from X state to X state. Okay. Once you receive that EAD card, then you're all set to begin working. If you already have a social, wonderful, you're all set to go. If you don't, you can request one when you e-file this application. After you receive the approval, you're gonna have to work in something related to your degree of study. For OPT, USCIS only allows 90 cumulative days of unemployment during that first year, okay? once, if you're eligible for that STEM extension, it would be 150. So that's counting the first period of your OPT. So it would be 90 days of unemployment during that first year, plus an additional 60 days if you do the STEM extension. Now, just because you have graduated from UTEP, your record still remains with us. So it can remain up to 3 years after that. So you still have reporting requirements with our office, and all those reporting requirements you'll be doing through Synapses with an OPT notification of changes. So whether you're starting a new job, whether you're ending a new job, whether your position changes, whether you go from a paid or unpaid position, any changes need to be reported through Synapses at that point. So you can see there's a difference between that CPT, where you do need to have the job offer, OPT, you do not need to have a job offer. CPT, we give you the authorization. OPT, we give you the recommendation. You apply with USCIS. There is a filing fee of $410 for that. Okay. Now, obtaining a Social Security. So as I mentioned before, if you already had on-campus employment, or for any reason you've had some sort of employment before, and you already have a Social Security card, then you're all set to go. If you don't, the CPT process. Now for CPT, the student is going to have to request a Social Security letter from our office. What we always recommend is that if you don't have a Social Security, at the moment that you submit your CPT application, you also submit that Social Security letter request. That way we can approve both at the same time. We give you your NEO I-20 with the CPT approval and that Social Security letter. Once you receive that, you're going to need to contact the Social Security Administration to set up an appointment. I'm going to ask that you don't get frustrated, and it is frustrating, I can imagine, because it takes them a long time to answer. Okay, and right now they do have limited appointments available still because of COVID. Is not open to the public, so it's by appointment only. Now, for OPT, if you do not have the Social Security card, like I mentioned, you can request one at the moment that you e-file with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. They won't issue it until your OPT is approved. So once your OPT is approved, what USCIS does is they send that information to the Social Security Administration, the SSA processes it, and then they issue that card. If for any reason you do not hear from the SSA office 2 weeks after your OPT has been approved, then you would need to contact the SSA directly. Questions so far? No? Yes. Okay. You have a required internship. Yes. So it would have to be authorized under CPT. Now, you mentioned how many hours per week are you having to do on that? Okay. Yeah. So once you know more or less, I would recommend that you consult our office, and that way we can tell you whether it's part-time or full-time. Part-time is up to 20 hours, full-time is 24 hours per month.
That's right. Well, from me, that I don't have, because I'm also a graduate student, I don't have to do the total other hours.
So you can only work up to 40 hours while you're student. So if you're doing that TA shift in 20 hours, then the internship has to be 20 hours. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to go ahead and hand it over.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Claudia Dominguez, and I am the Assistant Director for the University Career Center. A little bit about me: I'm a twice UTEP graduate, graduated with my bachelor's and my master's from UTEP. And actually, I started as an international student myself. So they're like, yeah, these people cannot relate to me. No, not really. I've been there before. Right now that I saw the example of the social security card, like, oh yeah, that was my first one. That's how it was. So I'm going to be talking to you today a little bit about mentorship, I should say. And one of the items that we found out from international students, is I guess the question about finding a mentor. Would you say that that's okay? You're like, yep. Or you're like, kind of, sort of. But when it's assigned to you?
Yeah.
Okay, in which program? The PhD program? It's a little bit of everything. In which PhD program are you pursuing? Interdisciplinary. I'm like, I knew it. You look very familiar. And what grad program are you pursuing, sir? Okay, okay, good. And here we have staff, also grad students. Staff, okay, they're like,
Not in there.
they're like, no, make contact like that. Okay. So, but the nice thing is that you can find mentors even outside of your scope and outside of what it's assigned to you. But then what happens here? So how do you know who do you want to choose as your mentor? So first and foremost, it has to be somebody that you respect, somebody that you look up to, somebody that you say, when I grow up, I want to be like that person. Or I really like the way they do things. I really like the way they conduct themselves. I really like the way they present, they do research. So that's why I want to be with them. That's why I want to be associated with them. So that's one of the things to keep in mind. And then what do you admire the most about them? Because this is what's going to set the tone as to what is it that you want to find out from them. And mostly it's going to be life experiences that they can share with you or how they've done things. But that's why you need to have an idea. You cannot go with someone, okay, I want to know everything that you know, share. Give me some guidelines here as to what is it that you want to know. So that's why it's important. What is it that you want to learn from them? What do you see in terms of value that you can try and get that information so you can enhance and increase your skills? And also, can you spend more time with them either as a mentee, official or unofficial? So if you say, I have my work, I have my school, I'm doing a thesis, a research project, a dissertation, but yet I really want to know about this person, so I'm willing to invest the time. I'm willing to, if nobody pays me or gives me extra credit or it's not going to be noted anywhere, I still want to talk to this person. I still want to meet with them. And I can tell you that I have somebody that I would call him my mentor, and I schedule my lunch times around his availability. So when can you meet with me? Like, okay, that's my lunch hour. So it doesn't conflict with anything. It doesn't, get tangled or intertwined with anything else. It's just like, oh, hey, it's my personal hour. So that's where I go. But then the qualities that you need to find in this person is what do you need again, and what can you offer? So it's not going to be just a one-sided relationship, but it's going to be what is it that I can also share with them that they see of value. Maybe you have a new point of view that they have not heard before, or maybe you're doing things in a field or in a way that they have not experienced before, and that's also something that you can share with them. Or, at my institution, if it's somebody from outside UTEP, this is how we do things, or this is how my program is run, or this is how we have these parameters to conduct our research or our classes or whatever we do. Be courageous and reach out. And this is probably the most difficult thing because nobody teaches us and we feel weird and awkward sometimes. Like, it's a stranger. How am I going to be like, hey, how are you? You want to be my mentors? Like, odd, hashtag awkward. But guess what? Do not be afraid. Just reach out. Just talk to people. The worst that could happen, and this is number 3, is that they will say no. And in that case, you're like, okay, hey, I tried. Now I can move on to another person. And that's why it's good to have a list, not only the only person that you want to mentor you, but to have at least probably 5 people that you can reach out to. And that way, if somebody tells you no, okay, I'll go down my list and then I'll move on to the next person. But this is important. Just practice. Be relatable. Again, hey, how are you? If you're gonna ask in writing, mention something that you like about what they do, what you have experienced with them. It's weird if you ask somebody like out of the blue, somebody that you really don't know, have no clue, no idea what they're about. You're like, hey, you want to be my mentor? They're gonna be, who are you? But if you say, I attended your workshop, I saw a presentation, a lecture that you conducted. I've seen you at this conference. You helped me with this. I had a question. I really like the way you approached the audience. You had a very interesting point of view on this area. I would like to connect with you. So it can start it with something like that. Would it be okay if I email your assistant or your secretary to schedule an appointment? But do not be afraid of reaching out. That's usually the main thing. Like, not until you try it, you're gonna know if it's gonna work. And if they say yes, you're like, yay, bingo. If they say no again, you move on to the next person, and that's okay. At least now you know that this person, the person that says yes to you, is going to be the person that is willing to invest their time and their energy to help you, to talk to you, and to mentor you. And that goes with this. They are busy. So sometimes they're going to say, yes, I can meet with you on this date at this time. And then they call the morning off. Has happened to me. You know what? They have a last minute meeting. They need to reschedule. And I'm like, that's when you're gracious. Yes, of course. Because you're appreciative that they're giving you their time, their expertise. You're like, yes, I can reschedule. I'm flexible. When else can we meet? Is the next week work? A different time, a different day during this week. But that's how you start establishing those relationships. And once you find a person that you see as your mentor and you see somebody that can really help you develop ideas, projects, initiatives, that's when you know you found the right person. Because they're going to be interested in you not only as the researcher at UTEP, but even as a human being. How can I help you develop, not only in this area, but as a human being overall? If you're looking, well, you know, maybe right now, so in the past, look in the past, you're a high school teacher or former teachers, former colleagues that now they have different positions. Those are people that can mentor you. This lady in the blue dress is actually one of my colleagues in the office, and this is one of her friends. We used to work together, and now they actually tap on each other. Both of them, previous teacher, now at the Career Center, teacher still at a high school. Hey, can you come and talk to my students? It's like, yes. Can you come and mentor them? Yes, I'll be happy to do it. So this is also how you start establishing those relationships. Family members, you can ask them, you know, you talk very fondly about this person. Why? What have they done? And then you can start looking into what they have done, and that could be a lead too. And friends, you can ask your friends also, well, you know, I'm thinking about this. Do you know somebody that can serve as like my soundboard? I can bounce ideas with about this topic or this area. Okay, let's do it. And if it's present, yes.
I have a question.
Yes, sure.
Especially since we're talking about international students, do you recommend finding mentors from maybe where they want to work in the future, whether it's here or where they're from or from another country?
She saw the presentation before, because that's what I'm gonna cover.
Oh,
right
sorry,
now.
okay.
No, yeah, good, down there, good. Good, we're in sync, good. So one of the areas, and you can look for mentors pretty much anywhere. If it's from your former school, city, country, etc., or if it's now where you are here in El Paso, or if it's where you see yourself going into the future, you can look for people anywhere. One of the nice things about LinkedIn is that if you go to LinkedIn, you create your profile. Within LinkedIn, you look for UTEP, and then you look at the alumni section. If you click here, you have a list pretty much of every UTEP alum that has created their profile and said that they've attended UTEP. The nice thing about it is that it's going to tell you, so right now when we took this screenshot recently, over 70,000 of us that have a LinkedIn profile that are former UTEP graduates. Then you can start searching. You have here a little bit of the demographics, but you can search by major, even by city where they live. So that's a great way that you say, oh, you know, interdisciplinary health. Let me look for people that have done this. And then you're gonna get a list of everybody, grads, interdisciplinary PhDs that are gonna be here, and you can reach out to them. You know, I'm currently in the program. What tips do you have for me? Would it be okay if I set up an appointment that I want to connect with you, etc.? That's a great opportunity to do it. Again, if you want to say, well, you know, I want to put somebody back in my city, back in my country, I can do that. But if not, this is a great way that you can do that right now. And I have some handouts I'll be passing them at the end of the presentation. If you do not have a current LinkedIn profile at the Career Center, we can help you set your profile. we have a checklist that it's the handout that I'm gonna be passing out today. So you can start seeing what elements you need to include also, because if you reach out to them, most likely they're gonna be, who's this person? Then you look them up. And if you don't have your account fully set up, your profile, or if it looks kind of iffy, like, yeah, maybe not. I'll be like, yeah, I'm not responding right now, or like, whoops, I forgot. But that's why having a solid profile, it's going to help you also establish those relationships. Current professors, you can ask them also, you know, what is it in the field that you're right now? I'm really interested in what you're doing. What else can I do? What should I be thinking about? Who was your mentor, or who do you look up to? I like this guy pretty much, Tony Robbins. I don't know how many of you know who he is. And he's pretty much he's known for being a motivational speaker, but I love the mentor. Like, I'm a fan. And then I was thinking, okay, this guy, he's great. Who was his mentor? Who did he look up to? And then I look up, and then I found another gentleman by the name of Jim Rohn, who's Tony Robbins. Who was Tony Robbins' mentor? He already passed. But then I started reading about him, and I found even more things. And it's like, oh, this is so cool. So sometimes even the mentors that you find, it's like, okay, and who was your mentor? Who did you look up to? Boom. And that's another way that you can look up that up. Employers and supervisors, ask them. I'm pretty sure that they would be happy to serve as your mentor right now, or at least give you some guidance or some leads into, maybe, you know, because I'm your supervisor, it's gonna look kind of weird. I can teach you, but in a different way, maybe not in a formal setting like that, but I can suggest this colleague or this other person. Have you tried this other department? And those are also ways that you can find mentors. So far, so good? Questions? No? Everybody's like, oh, okay. So how do you grow these relationships? Once you find them, once you find the person, what happens? So then you need to know that you need to commit time and energy. Whenever I'm meeting with this person that I was telling you about, I treat it like homework. I go and prepare questions and read, okay, what have we discussed? What have we talked about? Because I want them to know that I'm showing interest and that I care. There's not, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? What's up? So they're giving me their time, which is very valuable. The least I can do is to be prepared and not show up like random person. What's up with you? So trust, establish those trust. So be open to be vulnerable, and to also things that you hear or that they share with you that you're not going to go, oh my God, this person that's my mentor, let me tell you, they have this high power position and this is who they are and this is what they told me. It's juicy because it's gossip. No, I mean, have those boundaries in terms of being respectful, having trust in that person, and that person knows that they can trust you. Have goals. If you say at the end of this relationship, at the end of this month, even at the end of this first meeting, this is something that I would like to find out. At the end of the first meeting, I would like to ask, hey, would it be okay if I contact you for a second meeting where I can continue the conversation with you? So have those goals in mind. If you already know, this is my objective, this is kind of what I want to get out of this, just tell them. And also, again, roles and responsibilities. So who's going to do what? If they ask you, well, you know, this is good. And sometimes those relationships are more structured than others. So it depends on the person, it depends on you. It depends again on time commitment and the overall extension or period of time of the mentorship. But they may say, you know, you said that you want to find out more about this. So how about for next meeting, I'm going to ask you to do X, Y, and Z. And that's, again, part of the preparation. That if you don't do your homework, you're going to show up, look, what happened? Did you do it? Well, then most likely they'll say, yes, you know, I think this is our last week. And you don't want that to happen. One, because it's a reflection on you as a person. It's a reflection on you as a professional. And even right now, it's a reflection on you as a UTEP student. So that's why it's important to have those things in mind. And also, again, if you have results, once you have, at least for me, I've had a couple of aha moments, bouncing ideas of like, oh, this is good, this is great. All of a sudden, you see the light bulb. Like, and some of those I take notes, and some notes I use them frequently and religiously because it's a great piece of information. But again, otherwise, I would have not had I not reached out to a person or to a couple of people and have this relationship with them. So this is also, I always tell people, choose to be informed. And that is a choice. pretty much. Nowadays, if there's a ton of information out there, it is a choice. Information, it's gonna give you power. Knowledge is gonna give you power. But if you choose not to be informed, that is gonna be on you. If you choose to be informed, engaged, prepared, and known by others, the sky's the limit. Any questions on this portion of the presentation? Not really, like, okay, kinda, sorta thinking about this. So then I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Singleton.
All right, folks. So we've talked a bit about how you can seek that mentor and then also grow that relationship with the mentor. And I really love Claudia's point about you may have a mentor assigned, and it's good to have a mentor assigned within your program that signs your individualized development plan and things like that. But also good to seek out those folks that really inspire you. Or we recommend having those different mentors for different capacities. But also recognizing that your relationship with your mentor is really going to be as strong as you make it and how you pursue that. And one of the things that you want to seek through your mentor is feedback, particularly when you're assigned the mentor. And so I'm going to talk to you a bit about how you establish that feedback, how you seek feedback from your mentor. So that's what I'm chatting about today. So really, when you think about that relationship, it starts with how you set your goals, right? And how effective those are going to be, right? And we recommend in the graduate school, and a lot of the folks recommend using SMART goals. And I'm not going to go into the full spiel on SMART goals. I do that in a couple different sessions, but recommend looking more into that. And I can speak more about that later if you would like. But you need to make sure that as you're working through these goals with your mentor, that you're aligning things between long and short-term goals, right? Not just setting the small milestones, thinking big, but also thinking with the short-term goals. Make sure your goals are fitting within that program requirements that you're looking for, and that they are high quality, right? If the goal is, a very low bar to clear, it's going to be easy, but is it going to stretch you? Is it going to help you develop? Is it going to be worth your mentor's time having the conversation if all your goals are very easy to accomplish? But you also want to make sure it's something that you can achieve. If you're setting a goal that is so far beyond your reach, that's going to be frustrating for you, and it's hard for your mentor to give you good feedback on that because it was not going to be achieved in the first place. And so you want to talk with your mentor about your goals, what you're looking to achieve overall, and set those milestones, short-term and long-term. The mentor on the other end needs to uphold their end of the bargain, and they need to give you positive feedback on your goals and how your progress, right? If you're not getting any feedback from your mentor, the goal setting and the meeting and stuff is somewhat ineffective. And so that feedback is hugely important. Here at UTEP, we want to move an asset-based approach, not a deficit. And so again, as you're cultivating this relationship with your mentor, you're seeking that positive feedback, consistent feedback, asset-based. If you're not getting that from your mentor, you either need to find a new mentor or find ways to work with your mentor to move in that direction. And that's kind of what we're getting at, is how can you navigate that relationship knowing that not all mentors are created equal. Some folks are new to mentorship, may not be as effective at it. How is what you're doing as the mentee also contributing to that relationship and building it positively? And again, revisit that throughout the year. Set a good schedule with your mentor. If it's your assigned mentor within your program, it should be throughout the year with at least one major review. If it's more informal mentorship, someone's not assigned to you, set a schedule that makes sense for both your schedules as you work through that. The first step, though, is you have to prepare for how you're going to receive constructive feedback, which is not always natural for us as people, right? And so that is a learned skill. Some folks may be naturally good at it, and they can take feedback, implement it, and not get defensive. But it's not always natural. And so that's a skill we need to polish and develop. And so there's some steps you can do to help yourself be more effective at receiving the feedback. And you want to prep for this in advance before you've even asked for it. So you want to make sure you are listening with the intent to hear, not the intent to respond. This is just generally a good listening skill, right? If as we're having the conversation and you're getting the feedback, your brain is immediately going to, how am I going to justify or defend my actions, or why I didn't achieve that goal, or why I made the progress I did? You're not listening to hear in that moment. You're listening to formulate your response. If you catch yourself in that, try to take a step back and really process what's being said to you. Take the time to process what they're saying before responding, right? Which can even be taking the time to say like, it's really good feedback. I need to sit with that for a moment and think about that. Reflect. Because if your first instinct is also, again, to respond immediately, are you giving your best thought? Have you fully processed it? So take time. Feedback's important. Ask for more information if it's needed. So if you receive feedback and you don't quite understand the feedback you're receiving, seek that additional information on the feedback. Can you expand on it a little more? I'm not quite understanding what you mean by X. Help me understand so I can implement your feedback. Ask for more time if you need it. If you get some really constructive feedback and it's difficult to hear, don't feel like you have to respond. Again, we say take the time to process. If you need a day, a week to process, take that time. As you're building the relationship with your mentor, you want to make sure that it stays positive. And if it's really difficult feedback, you've not met a goal, you've had to face some harsh realities, you might need some time to do that. So ask for more time, like, I really need some time to process through that and think about how that we can move forward with that. So can I get back to you on that piece of feedback maybe tomorrow or next week, next time we meet? So ask for that. When you get that feedback, create an action plan for improvement. Even if your feedback is, you're doing good. Okay, how can I elevate that? So think about that action plan step. Not just a gold star or not just a demerit. What is my action plan? Seek peer support as well. So if you go through a review with your mentor, you're getting feedback, it seems more in the constructive side, you're having a hard time, maybe you're high stress because thesis or dissertation is coming up, and you got just your dissertation or thesis just came back with a whole different set of revisions, and you're like really frustrated. Go and talk to your peers a little bit. Not to trash your mentor, but to talk about how you're doing, right? Seek that peer support. Strength in numbers, right? Talk about it. That can help you then process, make sure you're receiving it correctly. This is what I was told. How do you perceive this? Because outside of that moment, outside of the personal lens, they may see the feedback differently and help you interpret it. And then again, follow up long term. It's not just a one moment conversation. It's how can we go back and revisit that? How can I show you that I received what you told me, I processed it, I formulated an action plan, and this is how I move forward, right? This is part of that commitment to your mentor and showing that you're going to actually take the feedback they're giving them that Claudia talked about, is that you come back next time and say, this is how I did, right? I'm following up long term and showing you how it worked. You also have to think about how you're seeking that constructive feedback, because not everyone is great at giving feedback. And you might have a mentor that is a great inspirational mentor, but really struggles to give you the feedback you need, right? They're great at what they do. Their speaking is amazing. I want to be just like them. And we sit down and we have coffee and they're like, you're doing great. Here's a gold star. Cool. I'm really inspired by you, but I'm not getting any more like you. You know what I mean? So how do I get that? Because again, not everybody's good at everything. And so you as the mentee need to prepare for seeking that feedback, because you got to carry some of that, you got to shoulder some of that burden in that relationship. So when you're seeking that feedback, seek it more frequently. It's easier to ask for feedback and receive it if you're consistently asking for it. If once a year is when you ask for feedback, it's going to be hard to get a lot of good constructive feedback. You get major high points, like the 30,000 foot view of what I can give you for feedback. But if you're talking weekly, bi-weekly, monthly with a mentor and talking about your goals, you'll get incremental feedback on the progress you're making. And it'll be much more targeted at what you do. So try to get it frequently. Critically evaluate what kind of feedback you need and ask for it. Also particularly helpful if you're working through a thesis or dissertation and you feel like you're just getting a lot of really general comments. Like, I need to really target in on something to make it specific so I can make progress on it. Start giving more targeted feedback of this is what I'm looking for, right? I mean, they won't comment on other things, but if you feel like you can get all over the place, if you target what you're looking for, they may give you more targeted feedback and limit the list of things that you're working on, which might be really helpful. So really look at, are you looking for performance feedback? How am I doing? Do you need general coaching? How can I be more effective at blank? Or do you need some positive comments, right? It's hard right now. I am stressed. I am looking for some of those positive comments. Tell me what I'm doing well. Help me with that. Tell your mentor that, right? They might say like, well, I'm going to give you some constructive feedback, but yeah, if you tell me you're really stressed, let me go through and look at let's start with what we're doing really well. Then we'll circle around the constructive, and then we'll finish up with, again, what you're doing well. Feedback sandwich, how you're supposed to deliver feedback, right? So tell them what you need. Ask for the feedback to be timely. Don't wait to an annual review, or I meet with them once a month, or I meet them once every other month. If you need the feedback, seek it out. Have that conversation. Don't wait. The more timely it is, the more effective it is for you, and the more effective feedback you can get from your mentor. Ask open-ended questions, right? How, what can I do here, right? Avoid, do you have any feedback? That is a very closed question. Do you have any feedback? No, yeah, just do this, right? How can I improve on this goal? What am I missing here in this section, right? Try to be targeted, not just any feedback. If you think about it, even from your own context, maybe we're doing a group project. If you throw out the presentation and say, any feedback? How much feedback do you usually get from the group? Everyone kind of goes, okay, good. That's kind of what I did when we were putting this together. I didn't ask for targeted feedback. Shut up. And then probe for examples if the feedback is vague, right? You could improve this. Okay, but how? That's very vague. Help me understand that, right? Collect feedback on your goals and your performance. Not just how am I doing, not just what am I trying to achieve. Seek on both. And don't rely solely on email. Email, again, very informal, very impersonal, very at a distance, and hard to get the context. You may get some things via email, but the in-person conversation, the phone conversation, the video chat, and going through and having that genuine connection is going to give you much stronger feedback, which builds a much stronger relationship with your mentor and helps you improve. Got not a whole ton of time, so we are going to talk about this activity, and I would encourage you to think about these questions for yourself. We are recording this. We'll post it if you want to come back and watch the recording. We pause here, but I encourage you to think about these sections here. And when you're thinking about your mentorship relationship, answer these questions for yourself. Think about that ahead of time, and then as you're setting the boundaries and setting the table with your mentor, you can have this conversation. So how frequently do you want to meet? Every week, every other week, once a month, twice a year? What does that look like for you, right? And that may be different for different mentors. Your assigned mentor may be every other month, right? Your personal mentor who inspires you, maybe I need once a week, I need a coffee chat. Both of those are acceptable. Again, figure out what type of feedback are you seeking. Write that down for yourself. This is what I need. What other types of coaching do you need? Is it on job searching, networking, work-life balance, any of those things? What else do you need? And then figure out how professional versus informal do you want that relationship to be, knowing that the mentor has a perspective on this as well, right? You may be seeking a very informal relationship with someone that is looking for a very professional relationship. So you have to have that negotiation, probably more trending towards what the mentor is able to and willing to give, right? But if you come in expecting a very informal relationship and they're very business focused and you didn't talk about that, they may expect you to want that professional relationship, and you might feel like you're not getting close to the individual, you're not building that strong relationship, and vice versa. If you're expecting it to be very like business focused, we wear business professional attire when we meet, we shake hands, we talk about professional things, and they show up and they're just in a polo and like me, and they drink coffee and using informal language, that may be jarring for you. So figure out what are you looking for, and then talk about that a bit with your mentor, right? Then think about how can you share that positively with your mentor, and what can you add as added value to your mentor's experience as well. Cool. Think about these things. We're a little short on time, so we'll do the activity today. I'm going to turn it back over to Claudia for the next sections of the presentation.
Hi again. Okay. So now I want to talk to you about resources and job searching, because that's usually one of the key things that we hear. I'm an international student. Where can I work? How can I find out? And like I told you before, I was in that boat too when I started here at UTEP. Like, where can I work? Like on campus, I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go and I'll do it. So we have several tools available for every student, but also international students, that you should be aware of. And one of them is LinkedIn Learning. Have you all heard about LinkedIn Learning? You're like, yep, I have my profile. Yes, good. Who else has heard about LinkedIn Learning? Jesse, okay, cool. So this is actually available for student, staff, and faculty. If you go to your dashboard to the single sign-on my.utep.edu, and you click on LinkedIn Learning, this is a great tool that will help you grow your skills. There's over 16,000 different videos on everything, on how to do presentation with data, on how to find a mentor, how to prepare your resume, how to do more polish at the time of your interview, how to do yoga. So there's a wide variety of different information that you can find here. Every video is like about 2-3 minutes long. And once you see a series of videos, that's considered a module. At the end of completing several modules, you can take like a quick assessment. And then if you got all the answers correct, guess what? You earn a certification that if you have your LinkedIn profile, we already talked about the LinkedIn profile. If you have both of them connected, you don't have to talk to each other. But if you do, and if you say, yes, I want these certifications to appear on my LinkedIn profile, they will be there. So it's another thing that a possible mentor or other people will see once they see your LinkedIn profile. So that's the whole thing. And then the other one is going global. Have you heard about going global? No, nobody. You heard? Why have you heard about going global? Hard, easy. We'll find out in a bit. So the nice thing about this, as an international student, you're right. It has a list of. It's what it's called a country guide, and it has information about several countries that if you want to do a study abroad or if you want to go and live in another country, what are the requirements if I want to go and work in Europe? What type of visa do I need? What kind of resume or CV do I need? What is the cost of living? What are possible places of employment there? That is what Going Global will do for abroad. Here in the US, it has H-1B information available. And H-1B, of course, you know, it's the sponsorship that everybody's like, yes, I want to get sponsored. So that is what, and I'll go in to the website right now. Just real quick, also, if you are looking to put together a resume, you go to our website, utep.edu/careers. And if you go under the students tab, you go into sample documents and resources, and we have several resume samples for you, as well as other documents. We also have downloadable templates that you can use. And then the other thing that I want to mention to you is the career closet. Sometimes when you go and apply for a job, of course, we strongly recommend that you put your best foot forward, and that starts with how you're dressed. Because the minute that you walk into the door, people are already having an idea of who you are and how you're going to be representing their organization. So that's why we recommend that you wear business professional attire. If you say, yes, no, I do not have the money, because when I was a student, it's, do I eat, do I put gas, do I buy clothes? What's it going to be? At the Career Center, we have a closet, literally a closet, that if you bring your valid student ID, you borrow a suit. For men, we also have shirts, we have ties. The only thing we don't have is belts and shoes. For the ladies, we have blazers, we have pants, we have blouses too. So you bring your ID, you borrow the garments. The only thing that we're going to ask you is that you take it to a professional dry cleaner before you return it to us. But that's something very affordable compared to buying a brand new suit. JobMind, it's yet another avenue that you have to look for employment opportunities. And JobMind connects you to full-time, part-time employees, internships, co-ops, volunteer experiences. It lets you know what events are happening on campus, recruiters coming in, events, etc. And again, this is our website. Let me see. I'm running short on time, so I'm gonna do this fast. In the meantime that this loads up, this happened just today. I'm gonna give you also this flyer. We are fortunate to have a partnership with an immigration attorney. Her name is Susana Visconti, and she's gonna come on Thursday, April 28th from 2 to 3 p.m. And she's going to give a workshop on life after school, navigating U.S. immigration work visa options. I'll give you this flyer. It just as I was leaving the office today, like, it's going to be on Templeton, so you can navigate. So it's going to be on Templeton. Now you know. So again, this is our website. I'm gonna go, when you go to here to our website and you click your job mind, that's how you log into the platform. I'm gonna go as alumni because as a student, I do not have a single sign-on as student. And real quick, again, what I want to show you. Any questions in the meantime? Everybody still awake? Yes. Okay. So this is what job mind looks like, just real quick. Here, again, you can find jobs, and when you look on jobs, job search, you can search by different filters. So classification, you can put graduate, master, student, for example. In terms of more filters, you can put here, for example, will require visa sponsorship in the future. You click search, and out of right now 560 jobs that we have posted, 24 meet this criteria. So again, it's another place that you have, or another avenue that you have where you can look for these opportunities. But what I wanted to show you real quick is when you are in your dashboard in JobMind, if you scroll down, this is where you will find Going Global. And what you were referring to, it's the the country career guides, which is the ones that take you to other countries. But I want to show you the USA, Canada search, because here, this is the main thing, the H-1B visas. And the way that it works is that you go here and you can also do a search. It has a video on how to search. It has using a H-1B search. FAQs, etc. So let's say, for example, we want to put that, we want to know on 2019 in the city of Dallas, who requested H-1B visas. And well, Dallas, San Diego, no, sorry. Dallas, Texas. We want to keep it in the state. So as you know, with H-1Bs, it's a lottery. So not every organization that requests an H-1B is going to be granted an H-1B. But here, what it does is it tells you these companies in this year in the city of Dallas requested H-1Bs. And this is where you can search by occupation, by city, by year, etc. And the nice thing about it is that, for example, let's look at Ernst & Young. So once you have the profile of the actual organization, what it's going to tell you is that how many H-1Bs they have requested. And this is important because, see how many they have requested? Now, again, that doesn't mean that they got all of those. But if you have an organization that has requested only 5 versus an organization that requested almost 50,000, then you know your odds are better with an organization like this that has requested more. So that's why it's important that you know about this feature on Going Global, because this is again yet another way that you can find possible opportunities with these organizations. Any questions? Pretty much around right now. No? No? And again, please, I'll pass right now these flyers about the session with Attorney Susana Visconti for April 23rd. I'm going to give you some to you, please. 2 to 3 p.m. Come and talk to her. She has a great presentation again about what opportunities you have or what other avenues you have in terms of employment opportunities in the U.S. after graduation. So that's why this is important. Like I mentioned before, choose to be informed. That's what's going to help you make good decisions for you. If you seek the information, then you're going to have all the elements that you need to make better choices. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. No questions, so thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Jesse. Yeah, I'll let you navigate this and then we'll log off.
So my name is Valerie Varela, and I'm the coordinator of the Student Wellbeing Initiative. And when Jesse let me know that there were some reports back from international graduate students that things like finding a mentor, understanding jobs and career goals and things like this was something that they would like to see more of, I said, well, then let's pull together with the Office of International Programs and with the Career Center and see what information we can provide to our students. So today I have some information for you about the Student Wellbeing Initiative. We provide information, activities, events, as well as help connect students to resources on campus. Because there's a lot here that is for you, it's free for you, and it's meant for you all to do your best. Something that's going on this month is financial aid offices, financial education. So it's Financial Education Awareness Month. They're having a kickoff event on Monday, April 11th, 11 a.m. to 2 at Union Plaza to start here in the Breezeway. So we hold things throughout the semester. We did Love Your Body Week. We did Sex, Love, and Respect Week. We've been a part of Alcohol Awareness Week. So if you see us around, please say hi. These are the dimensions of wellness that we work on: the physical, emotional, intellectual, and possible. So if you have any more, yes, if you're around, do you see us? Please say hi. We have lots of information on our website, utep.edu/wellbeing. And we hope that you enjoyed this presentation today beyond employment. Thank you all so much. Yeah, thank you to everyone.
Thank you to our folks from Student Wellness Initiative, to the Career Center, to the Office of National Programs. Thank you to the graduate student staff in the room. They're assisting us with the Zoom room. Thank you very much. We are going to close there because we do have the Graduate Student Assembly meeting right after this. And so in respect of their time, they're getting ready to start. If you've been here for this presentation, we'd love to have you stay, because as a graduate student, you are automatically a member of Graduate Student Assembly, and they're going to be talking about elections, so you might be interested in getting more involved. But if you have any questions, my name is Jesse Singleton. I can be reached at gradpd@utep.edu, gradpd@utep.edu. I'd be happy to connect you with any of the resources we've talked about today. Thanks very much.